Hi Jackie, this is Fancy, and just to reiterate, I really love your scale. It's a beautiful design. Very, very nice. It's one of the nicest I've ever seen, honestly, in terms of the design. Okay, so on to your design. So during critique, Linda said that you had what appeared to be water. You said in the upper left-hand vertical um, strips, so I'm assuming that you mean this. And yes, that's water. It's very out of focus. It has values that are very, very close together, um, or colors that are very close together in value. They almost, I mean, they're practically melting into the background. So that's great. You also have kind of water down here. Um, so see how that pathway kind of blends and disappears or goes out of focus. And that's what you want in large part, in most of your composition. So you also said that your pathways were not gradating enough, and I would agree with that. If you just look at this pathway here, you're just using two values and they're kind of far apart. They're on the green side of the scale, but they're far apart. They look like your stimulus color and then one of the close to the chromatic grays. So they're being used the same way. So in your visual pathways, you can gradate from one end of the scale to the other, so from one perceptual opposite to the other, using all those steps in the scale, or you can gradate from one perceptual opposite to the middle of the scale, so from green to chromatic gray, or from pink to chromatic gray. But right now they're not gradating, they're just alternating between a couple of different colors in your scale. And they're kind of far apart on the scale, so then you get overallness. As far as balance, we just have two intersecting visual pathways, and then that means you might get figures on a ground because you'll have these two pathways on this watery ground. So if you think back to some of our other assignments where you may have used visual pathways, every part of the composition has to be part of a visual pathway. In your case, a double visual pathway. So you need to build in more pink and more green visual pathways. I guess I would approach the problem in building the pathways first, just as you would if you weren't worried about water and fire. I would build them with gradations from, again, one perceptual opposite to the other, or from one perceptual opposite to the middle of the scale. And I would get those pathways balanced in terms of color, and get them unified in the way that they're shaped, so you have these triangles. So you could have some straight double visual pathways and angled visual pathways, double visual pathways. And then I would go back in with the chromatic grays and start to add rivers. And then you will see those pathways kind of go in and out of focus throughout the composition. And I liked your idea of maybe leaving the fire for last. So this is going to be really easy for you. I know it will. So give it another try. Good job.